I'm going to try to get through a little more of this ridiculously awful TriMet board meeting. Uh, let's see how much of it I can take today. Let's see if I can find.
Thank you, President Simmons. I've got a handful of thoughts. I'm going to try to structure them in some rational sequence. I think, first of all, I want to acknowledge the issue at hand. We've got a problem to solve. I see the trends in the forecast. What we're looking at down the pipe here is not sustainable. And we put our AAA rating at risk if we don't.
Okay, Ozzie, come on, man. Jesus. We put our AAA rating at risk. Does that not tell you everything you need to know about the TriMet board? That's what worries Ozzie. Oh my God, I don't know how much longer I can watch. This is going to take 100 episodes to get through this because I can't stand it.
Don't start to address these issues. And, I'm a big proponent of making sure that we're making these things accessible. And if I thought saying figure it out would get the job done, I'd say figure it out. If I thought, you know what, Governor, please pass a sales tax already and hook us up, and if I thought that would work, I would say let's just do that. And it would solve our issues. And if I were to borrow from the EPA, making something or calling something, entitling something a human rights doesn't make it free still. Clean air and clean water are a human right. We've ended that debate decades ago, and we are enjoying them right now, but we are paying for them. It's not.
We're not paying for air. We are paying for water. Yes, they're going to suck everything they can out of us. We already know this. This is a capitalist society. Capitalism is based on extraction of wealth. And what you're seeing now in our society and around the world is the epitome of what do they call it? Late stage capitalism, where all the capital has now gone into the hands of 100 people. And the rest of us are just sitting here watching the show. This is a bad system, folks. All government is bad. I'm not a socialist. I'm not a communist. I'm not a capitalist. I am an anti-statist. I do not want the state involved in my life at all. Statism is the most dangerous religion.
Not direct, but we are paying for them in the form of enforcement, in the form of legislation, in the form of operating expenses for folks that have to comply. And I think in that regard, I'd love to say clothing were a human right if I thought that was going to make it so that nobody was ever cold and always had shelter, at least on their...
Oh, Ozzie, you are such a disappointment to me, Ozzie. That gang up there called the TriMet Board of Directors, they are such Republicans, okay? They call themselves Democrats, but what you're hearing is Republicanism. And this is why the two-party system is a farce and a joke and a fraud. And why I'll never vote again for the rest of my life. I'm done with this. They all believe in the same thing. Extract your wealth for the benefit of the few. And you get nothing for free in a society of capitalists. And that's correct.
They're back. But I know that these things don't make it free. So I know that we have a problem at hand here. And what I see is that we've got three variables that we have to consider in order to get to our fare box recovery and improve that. There's, of course, the price of fare. That's one. There's the ridership. That's another. How full are these vehicles that we're using to transport? And then, of course, fare evasion. And I think we need to be looking at this on all three fronts, first of all. I think a comprehensive strategy is addressing all three of those variables. And I know that if we were to double our fare today and cut our ridership in half, we're in the same place we were. And I know that those two things come together. But from what I'm hearing in our analysis, the reason people are not getting on the bus and the trains more today has less to do with the price of getting on, and it has a lot more to do with, can it get me where I need to go on time? And I would say firsthand, you know, we have low-income fare programs. We have the potential to focus a low-income fare program and say that will now be free fare for low-income households. We have the same thing we can do with youth passes and say we're going to focus a program that's going to make sure people can ride for free up until they reach adulthood. And that gives us parameters.
They do that up in Seattle, by the way. All you youth ride for free.
That we can start to sort of chip away at. So one of my points I want to give is that I don't think it's an all or nothing scenario. It's either all free or it's not at all free. I think we have opportunities here to reach segments of our population.
I think, yeah, I agree. Okay. It's okay to charge nominal fare, for example. It's okay to charge $1, a nominal fare. It's not okay to charge an exorbitant fare. And $2.50 for somebody that has no money is exorbitant, and the low income pass should be free for people that don't have any income or have less than, you need at least $2,000 a month, and you can't live on that. You can't live in the Portland metro area on $2,000 a month. So anybody making under that should qualify for free public transportation. That's my opinion.
And make sure that they can access it free. And frankly, if we had a low-income fare program that was able to provide low-income or free fares to qualifying households, I don't see an access issue to the sort of standard fare. And I think that that's something I consider heavily. I would not want to be talking about increasing fares without making sure that we have a low-income fare system in place. That, to me, addresses the equity and access issue. And the other piece of it is, in the examples, I heard a few instances where there were certain fare-free portions of a system, perhaps a fareless route. We spoke of our history of having a fareless square. That's a geographic boundary, but we can also explore opportunities to have fareless corridors of a route, fareless connection points that are paid for by some of those job centers, employment centers, anchor institutions.
You mean stop charging riders? Stop letting Amazon have free publicly funded bus service? That would be something. All buses to Amazon funded by, what's his name? Bezos. The richest man in the world, but we the people pay for his public transportation to get people to go work at his slavery house.
Like OHSU that need to move a lot of people to the same location. I think we have opportunities to explore how those folks can prepay and how we can take that fare recovery off the burden of the person getting on the system and onto the entity that wants to make sure they actually get there. And I think, malls, entertainment venues, sports venues, and job centers are perfect allies to try to figure out how to bring funding to a system that at the end of the day, I think is going to be best served by getting people where they need to go, not necessarily just trying to, be a free option. So those are some of the thoughts that I'm seeing right now around how I feel like we should be addressing this issue. So in closing, I think what I'd love to see us doing is to be able to look at not an all or nothing kind of scenario, to really see where we can align our service to end users that are interested in making sure that service is there. I do believe that we have a lot of partnership opportunities there. And finally, I also believe that as a board, the most dangerous thing we can put ourselves into is being in a position of actually telling you what the fare should be. I believe that our best position is to give you parameters by which you should be looking at fares and give you some guidelines for what we consider good rationale for revisiting fares. And of course, when these things come, there's already a Title VI analysis that has to come. It will have to come to the board inevitably. But I don't think it's our best and highest use to be the one saying it's got to be this price. And it's a major problem if we're being thrown at that conversation directly. Those are some of my thoughts. I think that are hopefully shedding some light on what I consider to be some opportunities. something that directs you a little bit beyond, go figure it out, to actually get us in some directions here. And I really appreciate bringing this conversation forward. Clearly, our community is highly interested in this, and I think that even folks that aren't paying for it, even our agency partners currently, they want our system to actually function. So how do we connect those dots is what I'm looking to see next.
Thank you, Director Gonzales.
All right. Wait.
Next,
Okay, we'll just end it there. Okay, his point of view is better than Simmons and Edwards, who are 100% kill them all, but not as good as Kathy Way, who wants to save them all. He's kind of in the middle there. I can see his point. I definitely think if you had a fare free program for people who actually had no money, like less than $2,000 a month, I would take that. Okay, I believe in fare free transit. There's a Twitter guy, we follow each other. His name is Bourne, and he talked about putting a monthly fee on your water bill or something. I support that, and just hop on, hop off transit without dealing with fares. The fares are really, it's factually true. They are creating a subculture. First of all, they create a lot of problems with operators. You can hear it every day. The operators are connected to charging fares. They're very kill 'em all. Not all of them, some of them. Okay, not all. Got to remember, what we hear on the scanner is only the negative shit. We're not hearing the positive shit because that doesn't get called in. But you can see from the scanner how people are connected to the idea of people paying fares, or else they're not worthy of a ride. I mean, we have that part in our society where people think if you don't pay for it, you don't respect it, which is the most ridiculous Republican talking point I ever heard of. But that's how we are here now. And this is where we're at, All right, well, I have nothing else to say about this. We'll finish it up, do a little more later.